All right, this is going to be a further deep dive into the what to expect up here at this Copa V Wright trial and BTC Core, and some of the things that have been going on Twitter right now. And the rumor mill, and the all the hyperbole and the hype from the camps. And I'll tell you right now, being in an observer in this space for a number of years in the Bitcoin space and participating, but now really get myself out there to talk more about with what's going on. I'll tell you, it's more. The tide seems to be shifting. Over the past number of years, it's always been BTC to the moon, and this is what people have talked about. And BSV, which is the original Bitcoin protocol, has always been like a little step brother that just gets crapped on and removed from all exchanges and is absolutely considered a fraud or a scam. Nobody even considers it. But then when people really start to dive deep into it, like, wait a second, it's almost free, next to free to use. It's it's completely secure. I can't find any hacks. You're on the original Bitcoin protocol. You're using the #1 wallet address, which is the original Bitcoin wallet address. It's less than $50. It has the most upside if you're looking for it seems like it has the most upside if you're looking for speculation, the most use case. And it's being the most developed, doing the most transactions of all of the blockchains. And it has some of the biggest projects known. Tokenovate. I mean, check out Tokenovate. It's the development of the derivatives, the multi-quadrillion-dollar derivative market onto the Bitcoin blockchain. That means the BSV blockchain has now been rebranded. But I want to break down some of this stuff on Twitter now go into the case a little bit deeper. So let's just first go into talk about fraud, because fraud is something that's like, if you want to just use one word and call somebody something, use fraud, because, it sounds so terrible. It's just awful. Oh, he's a fraud. Oh my gosh. It's just a terrible thing. Of course, people on the internet are all guilty until proven innocent. That's the way the internet works. You're guilty till proven innocent. So it's just the opposite from the court of law. So now, of course, going over to the court side of things and how the UK law works, again, from a non-lawyer's perspective, there's multiple elements that have to go into fraud. Now, let me just go over a little document here. You can kind of screen share it with you and give you a preview for what it looks like. All right, so this is relevant because in the case Copa v. Wright, again, the case is about to determine the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. The biggest holdings, I mean, the most amount of Bitcoins there is held by Satoshi Nakamoto, the original wallets. Now, this identity will change depending on how it plays out, it could change the whole future of Bitcoin. Because if Craig Wright is found to be Satoshi, and then the injunctions issue, and he ultimately is determined to be the guy who held these coins, that the other side, the BTC Core side, they may not be legally allowed to operate anymore. The injunctions might go out against Coinbase, Kraken, and others, and the chain may potentially stop. Okay, it's that serious. And anyone who's not giving that disclaimer, all right, for the BTC Core side, they're saying BTC to the moon, BTC $1,450,000. Please, if you're saying that, just make sure you give the disclaimer about the case, because there's a great tweet that Craig just put out recently saying anybody who's falsely making those claims without a warning, a disclaimer about the injunction, because this isn't about theory or maybe, this injunction may issue. And if it issues, that thing's over with. All right. So the possibility of criminal, what Craig mentioned, it's possible that it could be criminal culpability and willful, malicious intent, where people are promoting this false ideology. So, that's criminal side, but we're in the civil side of fraud. So now let's go through the civil side of fraud. First of all, thank you to the guys who sent Bitcoin SV to my hand cash wallet. It's a number of guys. People are sending like full Bitcoin SV. If that's the guys who bought them the first time, thank you. Because if you're buying that stuff for the first time, you could send one to me as a thank you. And I appreciate it. That's the hand cash link in the description. Gavin Mehl at handcash.io. So check this out. Here's the elements. False representation. All right, this is the first element. An act or admission that is misleading or deceptive. Knowledge. The defendant knows the representation is false. So Wright knows something's false, let's say. Intent. The defendant intends to deceive the victim. Inducement. The false representation is made to induce the victim of an act, to an act. Reliance. The victim relies on the acts and the false representation. Causation. The reliance causes loss, damage. Has to have a loss or damage. Can't, without these, doesn't meet fraud, doesn't meet the elements, okay? Loss, actual loss. Not the fact that somebody said supposedly, let's say somebody made a lie. That's not enough. That's not fraud. You're not even nowhere near fraud. That's internet fraud. Remoteness, the loss, not too remote or unforeseeable. Dominant cause, the defendant's actions are the main cause of the loss. All right. So in summary, false representation, knowledge and intent, inducement, reliance, causation, loss, remoteness, and dominant cause. So you must have a loss, and you must have been, the loss had to have been derived from the party that gave the false representation. And you were relying on that. Okay. So you were relying on getting that widget, and you didn't get it because the person falsely represented it. Now let's go over to what some of these allegations are. Shout out to my man, Shino Trinity, Xiaowei Lu, and say the most important active man in Bitcoin right there, the most influential, I'd say, doing the most stuff. He's just taking massive action. He's building the S-Crypt, built the S-Crypt protocol, which is a smart contract programming language on the Bitcoin blockchain, meaning the BSV blockchain. So, it's just an amazing guy. I mean, incredibly smart. And I wish I could just get just a 1/10 of 1% of his brain, and just to comprehend what the heck, how this stuff even works. Cause it's just, brain's not quite there yet to comprehend any of that. That's, I can do the law stuff and the basic stuff, but I need a lot of training on what he's doing to really comprehend it, but I know it's valuable. So, all right. So check this out. This is, again, I'm not able to read the whole case in the Twitter. There's going to be pages and pages of stuff. So I'm just picking apart some stuff that is going to be likely, possible, maybe part of the case. We don't know. I can't say for sure, but I'm going to give you some of the allegations. This is a popular thread on Twitter. All right. This is supposedly for Craig's former lawyers on tier. And it's supposedly in this crypto devil's mind, this is proof of fraud. All right. So now we went through the elements, right? False representation, knowledge, intent, inducement, reliance, causation, loss, remoteness, dominant cause. You have to have relied on the fraud. You have to have actually had to been caused loss. So now let's go through it. Number 2, supposedly that the allegation is supposedly that Craig sent an email to Mt. Gox, a rebate proven fraud. This is the allegation. He supposedly allegedly sent an email saying that he controlled these addresses. And then, according to this Twitter post, Mt. Gox said that he didn't own those addresses. Again, definitely no proof of any of this. This is not proof, not even anywhere near proof. And let alone is it not proof, it's, even if it was true, okay? What we say is arguendo. Let's say arguendo, that's true. Who relied on this? How did you get lost from this? What was your harm from this? Obviously, this doesn't meet the elements. This is not fraud. Let's go to the next one. Craig's own recollection of hiding from the police. Okay, so this is likely from the book Satoshi Affairs. Satoshi Affairs is a freaking amazing book, by the way. It's a drama. I read it in 2021, and it's a freaking dream, dude. I would recommend Satoshi Affairs to anybody. It's this author, Daniel O'Callaghan, I think it is. Anyway, Satoshi Affairs, you could search it. And it's just a freaking mind bender. It's super high, intense, very well written. And again, it's nonfiction. There's probably fiction to it as well. I mean, I don't know if it's all true, but the characters in it, the people are all true. They're all real people, and it's got a great story about the actual signing with Satoshi on the inside. This guy was hired to go and be there with the Satoshi team, and then write the whole story and release it. So, you know, and supposedly this part here, as I remember it well from the book, this is where Craig is running down. The feds come. He gets a call from Stephen Matthews. This is what happens. Stephen Matthews calls him ahead of time, books a flight for him to come to the Philippines, and he warns him. Stephen got a tip saying, hey, they're coming for you, or they're going to go search, they're going to raid your place, the tax office of Australia. So he calls him and warns him because he's his power of attorney. He's like his emergency call, and he has a plan. He's like, you know, I got a ticket for you. You're going to go to Philippines or Thailand or wherever. And so you can go take a vacation and just take a break while they do their thing. So Craig is leaving in a fury, okay, because he gets this call and he says, you got to leave right now. And now he's out the door, and they're like coming into the building here. That's what this is about. And he's in the stairwell, and he's just like carrying a briefcase and probably sweating like crazy because he's following instructions by his manager, Stephen Matthews, who's telling him what to do on how to, hey, listen, you want to be there during a raid? There's no freaking order from a court saying he has to be home during a raid. There's no, what? You could travel where you want. During this time, he's under no like injunction or court order not to leave. So he gets on a plane and leaves, and there was no problems. He got right on the plane. If he was stopped from being allowed to leave, the plane would have stopped him at the airport. He was not under even any sort of criminal lockdown or anything like that. There was no violation here. This is just a guy leaving his apartment. Okay. Definitely not anything criminal about it. Again, here's the next one. And I'm trying to be neutral here. Okay. I really am. I'm not trying to defend Craig and say, oh, you know, I really am not. So if there's something here that is absolute fraud, I'm going to say this is fraud. I'll give a warning. Okay. So I really am doing my best to be neutral. I wouldn't support this stuff if it wasn't, you know, okay. I would. So in this multi-million-dollar fake Bitcoin real cash criminal rebate fraud, so he called the Mt. Gox thing a fake real cash criminal rebate. All that was an email to Mt. Gox saying that we owned these Bitcoin wallet addresses or controlled them at some point. That's what it was. That's a rebate. I mean, it's like saying, hey, I charged back my credit card because, you know, I believed I didn't make that purchase. Oh, shoot. That's right. I did make that purchase. You know, it happens all the time. Wait a second. I don't even remember making that. Oh, yeah, that was my okay. I get if that's constantly happening and it's proven, but it happens. This is, even if it was it's definitely not, I can't see how it meets the elements of fraud. On the Wednesday night afternoon, police gained entry to the house belonging to Craig Wright. Okay. An elaborate hoax. At this time, you know, basically, if you look back at the history of it, this is during the Gizmodo articles. And at this time, you know, Craig was trying to be off the radar, you know, so this time I think he was denying everything. He definitely did not want to be known. He wanted to be private. He wanted to be left alone. All of a sudden he's being outed. This this raid happens. And then this happens. And he's saying, oh, you know, he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to answer any questions. Okay. That's it. I don't see any fraud. Here, Craig was caught having lied. This is with the Australian tax office. I don't see any lies. Before Dave died, this is talking about, first of all, people who don't know how to read this stuff, I guess, you know, maybe they think this all involves only setting up Bitcoin. I wasn't involved at all. Well, that's not the context of what's going on in this conversation. Clearly, this context is about computers, you know, in relation to, they indicate the relevant software had been used by a number of entities, including Department of U.S. military, DHS, Homeland Security. Well, Craig's saying, I have nothing to do with those guys. Okay. Maybe Dave did, he says lower. Dave ran that stuff. He was in the military possibly at some point. I don't know. I don't know where Dave got it. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not there. This is in Florida. Okay. So again, this is just this isn't even relevant, this point here. And he goes a little further onto it here. I cannot myself, being a U.S. citizen. On the other hand, if I do some research or partnership, are you interested in being the lead if I put the funding in place? So again, he's just communicating back and forth with Dave. It's offered to U.S. citizens organizations. I'm not seeing anything here. Being under criminal investigation. This is just a Reddit post where he's just correcting people on something. Yeah, he was investigated criminally by audits of the Australian tax office. I think there were so many audits. I mean, he lost count. There's how many audits there were criminally, but was there any? I can't find any actual guilty finding. I mean, if somebody can find a guilty finding, please get it out there. Criminal investigations are just that. People investigating. People can investigate. There's nothing wrong with being investigating at any time. It's a right, and anybody in any government can investigate. But where's the guilty finding? I'd like to see that. Here it is. Crypto Devil handles about more investigations. Again, this is just merely more investigations from ATO. Absolutely. There were lots of investigations. Voluntary unit, he again was being investigated here by ATO. He's been very clear about that. I was involved in a criminal investigation by the tax office. Yep, they were doing lots of audits. In fact, that's one of the things that's likely to come out is what was what the evidence that he provided. Filing Bitcoin on his taxes, 2009. And this year, some allegation about Calvin Air and a paper wallet as a security and a proven forged. Proven? How is this proven to be forged? Again, this is an ID, an email, and a paper wallet. Okay. I'm trying to look at this from the court's perspective. Now, maybe on the internet, this is a big deal right here. The internet, oh, that's a fraud. But I'm not in an actual court. Let's say that these are some of the things that come forward. Now, here's something I wanted to share and see if you guys can somehow get relevance of this. Okay. Xiaowei Liu and I guess the internet crowd believes that this is what they said, that he admitted to forgery in this video here. So let's see if we can pause. I'm going to pause recording. This is supposed to be by the internet. This is allegedly a admission of forgery.
This was set up the day before. If you read it, it's written terribly.
Is this something you wrote the day before you set up the actual trust? Is that what you're saying?
Before I started setting up the actual trust, yes. It took a little while because of corporate processes. When I wrote this, I was totally drunk.
So you have written this?
Yes.
Okay.
I was completely drunk. I drank 3 bottles of wine. I'd just been served with a bankruptcy notice.
Okay, because it seems to be sort of sent from Dave Kleiman, if you look at page 286.
Okay. So supposedly that video was a total fraud and an admission of guilt. I mean, so here were the facts. Supposedly he wrote a document and it was sent by Dave Kleiman. Was that what was alleged? Okay. Why is that relevant? Think about it. You write an email, you write a document to somebody, and then somebody else sends it off. That's called a hired work. I hired somebody to write a document for me, and please email it to somebody else. I mean, that's just so possibly on the internet, that's fraud and an admitted forgery, but not in a court of law. As you can see in that case, there's no. I mean, I'm just missing it. I'm totally not seeing any false representation, knowledge, intent, inducement, reliance, causation, loss, remoteness, dominant cause. Who relied on that? Let's say that document. Who lost from that document? Okay, it's credibility. It could be impeaching credibility. I get it. That could be a possibility. But that doesn't seem to be what this case is about. I mean, they're going to try to establish impeach for credibility. Okay, that could be a valid claim. This person's not credible. They have come forward before and they wrote something drunk from somebody else's email. Probably not a very, that's not a very good high integrity thing to get drunk and then write something in bad language, whatever it said. I could say. However, how does that prove or even build any foundation about not being Satoshi Nakamoto? Okay, so we're fishing here. It just seems like a fishing expedition. And if I could find something here, guys, I mean, if Xiaowei Lu, you could send me anything else, you guys get it to him or put in the comments or send it on Twitter, get it out there. I mean, if there's some actual something in this case that we all need to know about, I mean, I want to be the first to talk about it. Okay. I mean, if there's like, oh, this is a piece of evidence from a court case that is a proof where the court found him guilty of fraud. Oh my gosh, we got to know about that. That's important. We definitely need to see that. But right now, all I'm seeing is wins, wins and a very, again, this is a super high standard to prove this fraud, super high standard. So, and the plaintiff has the burden. I mean, to win a case like that as the plaintiff's on the plaintiff's side, you got to hit every single, knock everything out of the park. There can be no stone left unturned. So they're going to have to prove these losses, prove the reliance, okay, prove the inducement, the intent. That's going to take these multiple witnesses, expert witnesses. And as I've talked about before, most likely what's going to happen is Dr. Wright's going to bring forward, he's going to bring forward somebody from Visa, MasterCard, the bank from Australia in 2009, and they're going to show, or 2008, and they're going to show, yeah, that's my client. He was my client in 2008. I was at the bank 25 years. I've been working there. And, we had a customer by the name of Craig Wright. He bought a website by the name of bitcoin.org with our credit card. Here's one of our documents from our internal bank memos, Exhibit A, right here. At that point, now you got a bank CFO or somebody working in the bank 25 years coming in to testify. They're going to try to impeach him. All this fraud stuff. I mean, come on, they're going to rely on the loss. At this point, it's becoming kind of a waste of time. So I'm not saying if it gets to that point. Now, let me just clarify something on another case. There's another case I talked about in a short yesterday, but there's another case going on that is about the Tulip Trading Association versus BTC or BSV Association. Has nothing to do with this Copa case. Okay, so that is outside the scope. That's going to go on to trial in 2024. I haven't even looked into it. It looks like it's more of a declaratory relief action, and they want to establish some sort of new case precedent. It doesn't look like it's adversarial to me, meaning that it doesn't look like the two sides are fighting each other. They want to declare the law on the case. That appears to be what it's about. And they want to declare the law regarding it seems like they want to declare the law regarding hacks. You mean like if your coins get hacked, what happens? What can be done? I want to set precedent. And once you have precedent set, it could be referenced. It could make new law. So that seems to be what that's about. And so people were up in arms about some of that stuff. It has nothing to do with this trial. It's going to go on for a while. So that's definitely not in my purview, at least right now. So the big one is literally a month out. And don't forget, I'll be on the Coingeek Live. I think it's the 9th of January, a few days before. And Craig and I are going to freaking knock this thing out. And I got to give a shout out to Craig and Gorilla Pool and those guys. They're doing some really good stuff. So, I mean, one way that if you want to be involved in Bitcoin and, people are just not sure about the risk. They're like, what do I do? Hey, get hash power. Like Craig says, I'm sorry, Kurt Wueker Jr. says, get some hash power. How do you do that? Get involved in a mining pool. You could get involved in mining and start, whether you do it yourself, if you have that sort of capabilities, or get involved in Gorilla Pool. They're a very, sound, good operation. I mean, I got to give a shout out to them. I'm not paid or getting any sort of bonus by saying that. I don't have any endorsements by anybody here. I'm just freaking what's called a freelance dude. I'm freaking bringing it, man. I'm just going to bring it. All right. So If you like videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video, get it out there because people can get a little more of the actual background for what has to be proven in these high standards. And this internet fraud is just that. It's internet fraud. It's chatter. But we actually get into court, you know, we've got these extremely high standards: false representation, knowledge, intent, inducement, reliance, causation, actual loss, remoteness, dominant cause. You know, the court's got to check these off one by one. And if there's one missing, sorry, nope, no case, goodbye, you lose. Right now, I'm not even seeing anywhere close. Definitely seeing some very wealthy and rich, smart attorneys on the Copa side. Hey, those guys are getting paid. They're doing their job. They're getting paid no matter what. They're getting paid a lot. So I got to give it to them. And I really, I would encourage and hope, keep our fingers crossed and pray that the London Blockchain Association votes, or however it's going to be. I applied to be a part of the council, like where I host an aftermath after the trial. And, you know, dude, I host a good interview. I mean, I will let people talk, you know, and go back and forth. I'm not just going to run my mouth the whole time and interrupt, especially when it's experts. So I would invite the Copa lawyers, the BTC core lawyers, the Craig Wright lawyers, all to come after the trial, you know, and get have a meeting of the minds at the London Blockchain Association. And hopefully I will be hosting I'm wishful thinking right now, but I'm wishful thinking that I'll be hosting a chaired event at that thing where we do question and answer with everybody. And they talk about the effect of the case. What's the effect on the entire industry and the entire financial market, on the Bitcoin market, on the cryptocurrency market? How is it, what happened? What's going to happen with BTC? What has already happened or what will happen? I mean, these are legal questions that has to be answered and determined by experts. You know, I'm not competent to freaking answer those questions. So, I mean, I could speculate, but again, this is just speculation from a non-lawyer. Okay. So, these are definitely, hopefully we'll be able to do that. So stay tuned. London Blockchain is going to be this summer. I think it's May of next year. Gavin Mehl, like, comment, subscribe. I'll put my Handcash link below. Gavin Mehl at handcash.io. It'll be here. Thank you to the guys who sent a freaking Bitcoin. And if you haven't already gotten Bitcoin, I'm talking BSV Bitcoin, hey, buy one, get one, find one, just one. That's definitely not financial advice. That's called smart. Even the BTC Core guys should have at least one. Because if everybody had one, just one, more people, if 1 million people had one, just one, we could start really building and using it as money. Peer-to-peer electronic cash. Not what it says right there in the white paper. All right, I got more to come, man. I'm just fired up about this stuff, and I want to get it out there more. And I got another group that I talk about with a lot of other concepts. It's not a group, it's a private membership association. It's just, I want to talk about Bitcoin so bad to them and so much to them and teach people about it. They're just not ready for it right now. So this is where I like my way of releasing some of this ideology out to the universe. And hey, you know, we'll be able to get some benefit from it when I go to the London Blockchain Convention. If I go to the trial, definitely watch on January 9th for the Coingeek live. Oh, all right. We'll see you next time. Gavin Mehl, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you at the freaking top. At the top.